Thank you very much. I apologize for not being able to attend the conference due to family reasons, and I'm really truly thankful to the organizers for the chance to present my paper online and the technical help. I sincerely regret that I will not have the opportunity to attend the conference in person. Can you see my PowerPoint? Is it okay?
It's fine.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Just a moment, so because I cannot change the. Okay. It is a little slow. I'm sorry about this. The eminent figure of Aldous Manutius has long attracted scholarly interest, so that we now have a comprehensive understanding of his publications, his innovative techniques, his collaborators and patrons of his work, as well as the finances of his enterprise. My paper seeks to contribute from a different perspective to a deeper understanding of how Manutius managed to assert dominance within the Venetian publishing and intellectual milieu of the early 16th century. It focuses on the prefatory and dedicatory notes that he composed for his editions of ancient Greek texts, those for which he is primarily celebrated. In these concise yet highly refined writings, my paper traces the humanist rhetorical topic that the publisher effectively adopted to establish himself as a humanist scholar and to participate in intellectual communities, both real and imagined. These communities were structured around specific ideas such as the revival of the Greco-Roman past, concord, self-sacrifice for common good, generosity, and devotion to learning. As I will show, beyond his innovative practices, capital resources, organizational skill, and choice of capable collaborators, Manutius systematically sought to promote his publishing program through prefatory and dedicatory notes. At the same time, he aimed to cultivate a public image that allowed him to participate actively in the humanist imagery emerging in Venice at the end of the 15th century. The scope and sophistication of his prefaces, which became increasingly extensive and erudite over time, as well as the growing use of Greek alongside Latin, signal the publisher's rising self-confidence. They also reveal his desire to be recognized not merely for his successful publishing career, but also for his extensive erudition, particularly in classical studies. Before I proceed, I would like to note that a particularly valuable resource for my study has been the modern edition of a volume collecting all of Manutius' prefatory notes in his Greek editions. Published by the Tati Renaissance Library of Harvard University Press, it presents the text in their original, Latin or Greek, alongside English translations by N.G. Wilson. And for the purpose of today's presentation, I have relied on Wilson's translations. Aldous Manutius was born in Bassiano in the Papal States around 1450. He received a classical education first in Rome and later in Ferrara, and spent several years working as a tutor at the court of the rulers of Carpi, a small town north of Modena. When he settled in Venice in 1490s, the city had already emerged as one of the most important intellectual and publishing centers in Europe. Manutius' establishment in Venice coincided with the flourishing of the Venetian humanism and the intensified interest of the city's intellectual sites in classical antiquity. Venetian scholars encouraged the development of Greek studies, both in Venice and at the nearby University of Padua. In 1504, Aldine Press published Scipione Fortegueri's oration in defense of the Greek language. Fortegueri, together with Manutius, was a founding member of the Nea Academia, which sought to promote Greek studies. Manutius successfully petitioned to receive privileges granting him a monopoly over Greek editions. At the same time, he entered the city's humanist circles and gained strong support through his connections with Venetian patricians, who provided him with protection, financial backing, and access to their rich libraries. Manutius' publishing activity serves as a paradigmatic example of the transition from manuscript to print culture. He played a pivotal role in this transformation, particularly with respect to the corpus of ancient Greek literature. Manutius' distinguished published program revolved around two central pillars: the publication of ancient Greek texts in the original language and his innovative approach to the form of printed works. These innovations include the production of small format books in octavo, the use of newly designed, particularly elegant typefaces known as italics, and the adoption of a comprehensive system of punctuation that would become standard in typography in the years to come. The Greek editions published by the Manutius included, among others, grammars and dictionaries for learning Greek, the complete works of Aristotle along with his commentators, the comedies of Aristophanes, the tragic poets, Thucydides, Herodotus, Hesiod, Demosthenes, Homer, and 2 volumes of Plato's works. In total, the 64 Greek editions accounted for roughly half of the entire Aldine output. At the same time, Manutius issued works from the corpus of classical Latin literature and was a pioneer in publishing prominent examples of Italian vernacular writing. In addition to his permanent partner, Andrea Torresano, Manutius collaborated closely with several leading scholars of the period, including Erasmus, Pietro Bembo, Marsilio Ficino, Angelo Poliziano, and the English humanist Thomas Linac. Particularly in his Greek editions, he relied on the assistance of Greek-speaking humanists such as Marcos Moussouros, Aristobulus Apostolis, Dimitrios Doukas, and Ioannis Grigoropoulos. Access to classical studies was restricted to a narrow segment of the population, serving as a significant privilege and as a source of authority for a male-educated elite. Consequently, the success of Manutius' publishing program was closely linked to the integration of Greek into the educational priorities of the elite. The publisher, moreover, actively promoted the study of Greek through the publication of grammars and dictionaries. Manutius devoted considerable effort to ensuring that he and his collaborators had access to the manuscripts on which his editions were based. He gradually built up an extensive collection of manuscripts drawn from the libraries of wealthy individuals in Venice and beyond. The meticulous pursuit of manuscripts associated with the revival of antiquity, this is a phrase that he used very often, became a key rhetorical topos in the construction of his public image. In the dedication of his editions of Aristotle to Alberto Pio, ruler of Carpi and the nephew of Pico della Mirandola, he vividly describes the quest for a manuscript in Rome, Florence, Milan, Greece, even in Britain. The discovery and preservation of a past lost amid ruins thus emerged as a crucial goal, intertwined with other fundamental humanist ideals such as liberty, virtue, and devotion to the common good. Manutius often expressed hope that in time less damaged manuscripts might come to light, those now, I quote, undeservedly hidden like prisoners in some miserable dungeon, in squalor, covered in soot and gnawed by insects. The notion of reviving books, and through them culture itself, was central to the image he sought to cultivate. Let's take a look at a few relevant notes. Since books, some quotes, since books seem to enjoy a kind of rebirth when they are produced with great care and great effort in our house, I think I am entitled to dedicate them after such a rebirth to whomever I please. If from time to time we do not make such progress as before, that happens for some good reason, or because we are preparing for some bigger task, so as to have more time for the enhancement of literary studies and the rescue of ancient authors from rotting in darkness. Thanks to my care and efforts, the books are reborn by a kind of reincarnation. Here it should be emphasized that although these notes are written in Latin, in the original, the author incorporated a few Greek words to demonstrate also his familiarity of ancient Greek. And here, bold is mine here, the Greek phrases. A dominant theme in Aldine rhetoric is the notion of service, devotion, and self-sacrifice for the public good and the welfare of the Venetian Republic. This was a principle actively promoted by the Venetian authorities, both among the ruling elite and the social groups benefit from the state. The authorities regarded the publishing world as another potential avenue for advancing Venetian interests. By highlighting his contribution to the public good and his service to humanity, Manutius crafted an idealized self defined in terms of both moral and professional prestige. This public persona is already apparent in one of his earliest editions, Constantin Laskaris' Grammar, where he directly addresses his readers and declares, I quote, we have decided to devote our whole life to benefit mankind. God is my witness that I wish nothing more than to help humanity. I shall certainly try to the best of my ability to be helpful at all times. Manutius repeatedly highlighted his toil, self-sacrifice, and commitment to the public good. I quote, so I console myself with a half line, one will be sacrificed for all. I could swear on oath that in all those years I have not had a single hour of true peace, but I have found a way to torture myself through my desire to help you and supply good books. God, in his supreme justice, has put sweat on the path towards virtue, the road to which is long and arduous and initially rough. The pursuit of profit, an inevitable aspect of publishing, confronted Manutius with the tension inherent in wealth accumulation within the humanist imagery. His writings reflect a careful effort to reconcile economic interests with the pursuit of virtue, a reconciliation at the core of the Venetian political rhetoric. In one of his earliest editions, Τα Καθηρό και Λέανδρον, by Museus, the publisher looks to antiquity to establish a relationship of trust and reciprocity with his readership, one that acknowledges yet transcend economic necessity. I quote, "If you give, I certainly will. I am unable to print without some substantial funds. Put your trust in men engaged in an enterprise that is not without risk, and most of all in Demosthenes, who says, money is needed and without it nothing essential can be done. I say this not as someone anxious to make money, but rather out of dislike for such people. Yet without money it is not possible for you to have a good supply of what you particularly desire. And we, for our part, continue to work at with great toil and expense." And remarkably, this preface is written entirely in ancient Greek. The editions of ancient Greek texts were aimed at a small, targeted audience, primarily students and scholars. However, not all purchasers needed to know Greek. The text, valued as collective objects, carried symbolic weight, granting access to the Republic of Letters. The publisher himself used the Latin phrase res publica literaria to refer to all those who cared about classical culture, whether in manuscript or printed books. Over time, Aldine ancient Greek editions gained prestige as essential components of any notable library in Venice and beyond. They adorn the libraries of prominent Venetian families, and Manutius' clientele included leading dynastic houses of Italy, such as the Farnese, Gonzaga, and Este. French monarchs Francis I and Henry II were also collectors of Aldine editions. Indeed, those buyers who had the financial means could acquire unique books specially decorated for them in the style of a manuscript, a feature that added even greater prestige to their libraries. The promotion of Greek studies is framed by the publisher as a collective endeavor reliant on the support of friends and collaborators. Within this emerging social and intellectual collectivity, Manutius invested time, effort, and capital to bring readers into contact with the ancient world. In return, readers were expected to offer trust, gratitude, and financial support. I quote, "Honorable youths and students of literature, you have what I promised you. It remains for you to show us your gratitude, which I shall regard as handsomely rendered if you buy our product without delay. If, as I hope you do, you will make me keener to publish in future the remaining works, which are much more substantial and more important." University scholars could help circulate books through their teaching, enabling Manutius to support higher education while also gaining financial returns and social prestige. Moreover, political figures, by supporting his work, demonstrated their commitment to human studies and affirmed their social and political standing. Venetian patricians such as Girolamo Donà, Angelo Gabriele, Daniele Regnier, and Andrea Navagliero were notable recipients of Manutius' books. Of particular significance is the dedication of Plato's works to Pope Leo X, presented as a petition on behalf of the community of Christians and of literature. And through it, Manutius showed also financial support for his enterprise. Political figures and scholars appear as idealized readers. In the dedication of Aristotle's Organon to Alberto Pio, the recipient is presented as a patron of the arts and letters, modeled on a glorious Roman past. He is depicted as a great benefactor and an ideal, learned, and generous reader. I quote, You are a new Messines to scholars of the present day, for I could deservedly address you as Horace did Messines, as protection, glory, and joy for me. I have greatly defended and helped by your resources. I know that you spared no expense in your eagerness to acquire Greek books. You have everything you need: intellectual power in great abundance, eloquence in which you are gifted, books for Latin, Greek, and Hebrew studies, which you take great pains and care to acquire, learned teachers from you whom you employ at considerable expense. The collectivities upon which the Aldine enterprise was constructed derived their cohesion from the Renaissance ideal of classical antiquity. They were invested with meanings that oscillated between the universal and the local, articulated in the name of an idealized Venetian identity. In his dedication to the Venetian patrician Andrea Navagero, Manutius extols Venice as a new Athens, praising the abundance of its exceptionally learned scholars. Just a month later, he would repeat this description in his dedication of the second volume of the Greek Rhetoricians to Francesco Fasolo, a high-ranking member of the Venetian Senate. I quote, it is principally due to your energy and enthusiasm that Venice can now deservedly be called a second Athens on account of Greek literature. This exaltation of Venice's cultural preeminence implicitly recalled the earlier Florentine claim to the title of New Athens. At the same time, it affirmed the political and cultural hegemony of the most serene republic. What I have endeavored to demonstrate in this paper is that Manutius' promotion of classical tradition, and particularly Greek studies, rested not only on his ambitious publishing program, but also on his active engagement with a humanist imagery that shaped his editorial choices and intellectual aims. Manutius expressed his engagement through the carefully prepared prefatory and dedicatory notes to his editions. These notes, with their refined language and sophisticated rhetoric, helped him present himself as a publisher who was also a humanist scholar. In doing so, Manutius successfully drew on key rhetorical humanist topics, such as this had been shaped in the contemporary Venetian intellectual milieu. Among these were the revival of the Greco-Roman past, manuscript collection, diligence, devotion to the common good, self-sacrifice, concord, and the privileging of humanist studies over scholastic barbarism. At the same time, Aldine rhetoric reinforced existing collectivities or even fostered new ones. These groups acquired coherence through the reimagining of the ancient world and were imbued with meanings that could be at times local, framed through an idealized vision of a Venetian identity, and at others universal in scope. Thank you for your attention.